Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Face Your Ears podcast. I'm joined here with my good friend, Justin Hoshella. How's it going, buddy?
Hello, Rich. It is going well in my beautifully renovated man-made random studios. Thank you again for your services.
No problem. Yeah, it does look great.
So we have currently over 1,000 downloads of this podcast. So I'm really excited to announce that. And I just want to say thanks to everyone for making that happen. It's a very exciting milestone for us.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this journey. We've come a long way, and we have a long way to go. And we're so glad to be able to do this.
That is a very exciting announcement indeed. Are there any other exciting announcements that you'd like to share?
We do have a special announcement today. We have a special guest joining us, our good buddy and partner in musical mischief, Barak Yildirmaz. All the way from Alta, Norway. Barak Yildirmaz is a composer and mixing, mastering engineer with over 25 years of experience. He began honing his studio craft in his early 20s. From an early age, he demonstrated a passion for sound and recording technologies, leading him to seek answers to satisfying his curiosity and increase his knowledge. Music also played an important part in his journey, as he was a self-taught keyboard player in his early years. His skill for composing was added throughout his career as a recording engineer, as he helped mold songs from raw ideas into finished pieces. Combining his strong background in computer technologies with a passion for music production gives Barak a unique edge. His ability to connect these two areas means he can contribute creatively to songs while ensuring that the mathematical and sound wave components that make a song polished and done are in place. In 2009, Barak joined the live sound scene, working with various local venues and bands. With a passion for keeping up with the latest trends, Barak draws on his extensive experience in live sound design and performance to inform how to bring a song to life in the best balanced way. He has a natural curiosity for the physics of sound, which brings an unmistakable perfection to his final mixes and masters. Barak has an eye for detail and steadfast perseverance, which will get your song over the finish line with a modern, professional sound. After spending 21 years in the U.S., he now lives with his wife in Norway above the Arctic Circle, where he continues to provide audio and video technology consultation, mixing, mastering, live sound services, and remote mixing for YouTube live streams. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Barak Yildirmaz.
Hello.
Yay! Hello, Barak. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank
We're
you.
glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here today.
It's quite a nice bio there. I really like all of that broad range of experience from live sound to recorded sound. I remember Burak when he was a young whippersnapper here back in New Jersey, starting up his live audio production company. Those were good times, weren't they, buddy?
Oh, yeah. Also scary times for myself.
It's great to have you here today. The reason Barak is joining us is because the three of us have a special announcement to share.
That's right. Rich, myself, and Barak have officially established our music production venture, which we are calling RJB Music Production.
Let's talk a little bit about how all this came together, how we met, how we started working together, etc.
I guess I'll start from the very early days. So, Rich, you and I met through our now wives, then girlfriends at the time. So, Rich and I met a little over 20 years ago. My wife was going to University of Michigan for graduate school for voice. Rich's girlfriend at the time, Katie, was also in the same program as my wife, and they became fast friends in their program in grad school. And Rich would come up to visit Katie in Ann Arbor, and I did the same. And so that's how Rich and I initially met. And this is like, what, 2003, 4?
Something
No,
like that. No,
earlier.
earlier.
2001 or 2, I think.
Mm-hmm.
back in the days of the GameCube, which we connected over in those early days. Yeah, we met through them, and we actually met in Michigan, funny enough. And so that's how you and I met. And then funny enough, our main connection in early days was gaming, and then music became the next big frontier that connected us. And through that process, we delved more and more into music and introducing each other to different aspects of music, different genres and so forth. So Rich introduced me to metal and that whole world, and I introduced him to more of the electronic synthesizer based music. And through many a conversation, we eventually came up with the idea of doing this podcast. And from there, I started to work with some of Rich's clients, some of his students in his studio that were songwriters. And I began to produce some of his students' work. And so that's kind of how I showed up into the picture. That's sort of my quick story of how we came to this place of establishing RJB Music Production. I'll turn it over to you, Barak, to sort of integrate how you came into RJB Music Production.
I think we go back all the way 20 years or so. I used to live in Highland Park with two roommates.
That's right.
And Rich and his girlfriend at the time, now his wife, they decided to move in New Jersey. And they didn't know many people, but one of my roommates is Rich's cousin. Yeah, they were cousins.
Her cousin, yes.
And there was I will say, interesting coincidence happened. They moved in, they drove their truck with all their stuff from Baltimore, I believe, in Highland Park.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And obviously, they need help to carry everything. It was a Saturday or Sunday, and it happens that I was available to help. I don't want to get into too much details, but that help ended up opening a friendship that still lasts today.
Yes.
Once we figure out that we are both into music, that made us more connected over the years.
It's like one of those things, wherever I go, I seem to always find the person who's into recording or is a player. I remember meeting Burak, and then I think within like probably the first like hour of talking to him, we started chatting about music, and then it just took off from there. And I got to say, Burak, I think, understates his influence on my world as a musician. If you were to come to my studio and take a look at everything I have, basically, it was under the consultation of Burak. He advised me on everything from my keyboard all the way to my recording setup and helped me get it up and running. And I thank you for that. I have to say, he did this years ago. He introduced me to these things when I lived in another place. He introduced me to this world and tried to coax me in that direction. But I was just so overwhelmed by the prospect, I kind of shied away from it. But now I'm in, and look at us. Look at what we're doing now.
It's amazing to see your technical journey over the years, Rich. I remember when I first met you, you were still using a PC and battling that.
Different demons.
Different demons. Yes, exactly. Your studio now is phenomenal. It's outfitted with a lot of fantastic equipment thanks to Barak's consultation and advice. And it's just been awesome to see you grow in that regard to mastering that equipment and recording and producing your artists that you're recording and everything. So it's awesome.
I thank both of you because I know, Justin, you've helped me many a times at that midnight hour when something has gone awry to bring things back to the path. The thing I want to ask Barak is, so how is the music scene up there in Norway? Can you tell us just briefly, what are you up to?
Since I live in a small town, population is a little bit over 21,000 people, there isn't really so much going on in terms of live sound. Once in a while, I got called to mix a children choir or some other type of music event in the cathedral over here, and that's about it. It is not as busy as New York, of course, or New Jersey. So majority of my work goes remotely or mixing and mastering other clients.
And that's how we got Barak on board, actually, because Justin and I had initially started working together, as he mentioned, with some of my clients on getting their songs produced. And I remember as we were working through things thinking, man, wouldn't it be great to have someone who could do the mixing and mastering, who could really specialize in that area so that it could free Justin up to focus more on production. And the first person that came to my mind was Barak.
For me, it was challenging because as a producer, working on the song, I've already heard it hundreds of times at that point. And so I don't have the objective ears to mix it properly and master it. It's very difficult to do all of those things. It's not impossible, but it's not recommended to produce the track, mix the track, master it, at least without some time between to sort of let your ears and your mind reset before you go into it with a more critical lens, if you will. So I was so thrilled when Rich brought up Barak, because I'm like, yes, it's the aspect of the overall production of a song that I don't necessarily thrive in or enjoy as much. I seem to gravitate more to that production space where it's coming up with the different parts and the arrangement. I was always so impressed with Barak's critical ear and how well he's able to bring the mix together and that final mastering of the track. And so it was just a perfect compliment to have somebody focus on that area, someone who's not only really good at it, but also that really enjoys it too. I was thrilled when Barak came into the picture.
Absolutely. Yeah. All those years of live and studio experience have come to a head and are being utilized now in RJB Music Production.
Brock, do you find that to be true? If you're producing something to have to like immediately go into mixing it, I found that to be challenging.
That goes for all sort of multimedia like audio, video. When you deal with something for so long, you become immune. So you lose your sense how good or how bad it is. So another angle of view or listening is very important, sort of fresh air or fresh eye. So this trio that we formed, I think it makes so much sense for clients too.
Yeah, everybody's able to kind of come from an objective standpoint when they're focused on their particular area of the production, be it, the recording, the vocal arrangement, the actual production of the song, and then the mixing and mastering.
That's a great segue. What is RJB Music Production? What do we do exactly? Barak, can you enlighten us?
Singing, songwriting, vocal recording, instrument recording, song production, mixing, mastering, audio and recording technologies related, technical support, production training, more audio editing. This is one big pool of things that are interconnected to each other and each ability fulfilled nicely.
It's a symbiotic relationship. We all have different specialties and we all are able to feed off of each other and help each other out.
Rich, can you talk about your specific role within RJB Music Production and what you focus on and what you do for our clients?
I basically start at the training aspect where I get the singers up to par for recording. I also help them acknowledge that they have a vision and then bring that vision to a place of where it's ready to be worked on. And that might mean getting the composition finished to a rough form to be fleshed out by Justin, or to flesh out specific aspects of the composition to get it to that place. But basically, I help them get the song to the place of where it's ready to be produced. And then once the song is produced, I am the guy who will coach the singer to get their voice up to par to reach the optimal delivery of the vocals for the track. And then help them record the song and do the vocal arranging, adding backup vocals, things like that.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite aspects of what you do, Rich, is the vocal arrangement and creating different parts. I think that really elevates the song.
I agree.
You do a great job of polishing the voice with that client, getting them up to speed to perform at their best. And I think what just takes the overall production to that professional level is the arrangement part of the harmonies and the different improvs and all of those details that really lend to that polished sound and making it sound like a professional song. which it absolutely is with your fingerprints on it. So I love that.
Thank you. Aside from the RJB Music Production website, if you want more information about what I do and you want that kind of consultation with regard to singing and polishing up your vocals and finishing up your song, you could find me at bozikvoicestudio.com. That leads me to you, Justin. What do you do in this mix here? Can you talk about your role?
I play a few different roles within RJB Music Production. So chief among them is music producer, arranger, and then I also do training and a little bit of technical support. So what that looks like with our clients is I'll do a pre-production planning meeting with a potential client. And that's where I sit down to really collaborate with the client, planning the overall process, including them selecting reference tracks that allow me to sort of understand the sound they're looking for. Just gives me a general ballpark, if you will, approximation of what they want their song to sound like. Certain drum sounds, certain bass sounds, arrangements, and so forth. And that also allows us to talk about their vision for the song, what they envision it sounding like or feeling like, that sort of thing, helping me understand their perspective. And then on a more practical level, just talking about the production timeline. I think it's one of the most important things to discuss because something like this is very creative. It's very subjective. And so if you let it, it could go on forever. However, we don't have forever to work on it. So one of the things I do up front is explain the timeline and the due dates and how we'll work together and how we'll collaborate. And one of the unique things that we do as a team is we work remotely. So I am in Michigan, Rich, you're in New Jersey, Barak's all the way in Norway. And so through the power of today's technology, we're very easily able to connect with our clients and work with them remotely. Once I get all of that preliminary information from the client, it's then time for me to move into creating a demo, seeing if I'm in the ballpark, so to speak, and get input and feedback from the client. So that's where I'm working on the arrangement and the composition of their track, just making sure the instrumentation is correct. Do they want it to sound more like a rock song? So should I use more of a traditional drum kit, or do they want it to be more of like an upbeat dance kind of song? So should I use more electronic drums? That kind of stuff. And so I'm just dialing in all those different sounds to their liking, and then just ensuring that it's got that distinctive sort of sonic signature, I like to call it, that they're looking for. My mindset every time I'm working with a client is I am there to serve them. It's not about necessarily what I think sounds good and what I like, although I use my experience and knowledge to help get them to where they want to go. So it's really me serving their vision and their desires for their song. So that's what I do with the client. And then once I get it to a place where they're really satisfied with their instrumental music bed for their song, they can take that and then work with you, Rich, for recording those vocals and getting that so it's all lined up with the instrumental of the track. And then once all those recordings are in place, that's where we send everything over to Barak for mixing and mastering. At this point, it makes sense for us to talk about your role, Barak. So once I've finished my production, Rich has recorded all of the vocal parts. Tell us about your process and what that looks like.
So Justin and Rich, they are the two phases where everything starts. I am the last phase, complete the production. The talent and Justin, they get together to create a vision, a sound that they are looking after. And after Justin's arrangements and the vocal recording, the talent comes to me and maybe sometimes they pinpoint a specific sound or vocal type they want to sound like. And I start working on the goal of the polishing the song. What does it mean? Polishing a song means that you are able to hear everything in a good balance, in a good dynamic range, and a pleasing way according to the talent, of course. If it is a rock song, it has to sound like a rock song. If it is a disco, it has to be sounding like a disco song. Once I do the first revision, I send the MP3 file to the talent to get his or her opinion. And this is very first step in my phase. After that step, actually, the talent is in charge to guide me. I will do whatever he or she asks in terms of directing and bending the sound, the audio, the way he or she likes. And that's called mixing and mastering.
So can you differentiate, for those who might not know, how does mastering differ from mixing?
So mixing is basically balancing every single elements of the music within the song. Also, if you have a dynamic movements in the song, such as sometimes the beginning of the song, maybe you want drums louder, but in the middle section you want softer. So this is a dynamic process. You have to adjust on the go. So overall, you adjust everything, you EQ, you pan, and then you come up with the mix itself. Once it is done, the next process is called mastering. Mastering is the last step where when you publish the song to the online platforms, it should be easily compete in terms of quality. When you do a mix itself, it's not enough. So mastering is another layer, overall layer that will adjust overall equalizer settings, maybe some other dynamics, so that you make it even clearer, intelligibility increase, and the loudness. When I say loudness, which is very important because it is a very hot topic no matter which year you live in, it was a hot topic back in 80s, 90s, 2000. You have a limit. You don't have an unlimited amount of volume you can offer the song. So you are limited with that limit, so that you need to adjust everything carefully.
I think about like perceived loudness.
Perceived, yes.
I
Yeah,
think is a good way to put it, because you're
right.
right. There's only so far you can go without it getting into distortion and sounding bad. And so in today's world, it's more about this perceived loudness where it's almost like a psychoacoustic phenomenon going on with mastering, where the listener hears it or perceives it as being really loud. And so that's a very hot topic, yes, in today's music world, as you release music to Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, etc.
That's a great encapsulation.
So, guys, I wanted to ask you, what do you like most about working with clients? On top of that, like, what can clients expect when they work with us, and why they should work with us?
If I may start, what I like about working with a client is being able to help them bring an idea that they had that might have just been something that was like a very simple chord progression and maybe a little melody they thought of, and to be like, hey, this can be a song. Let's work on it a bit and finish it up, and then get it to a point of where we could flesh this thing out. That's my favorite part of it. I mean, in particular, there's a client that Justin and I, all of us, have worked together with. He had songs under his belt from when he was in his, I do believe, like 20s. I think now he's a lot older now. I would venture in his 60s now. He had those songs sitting dormant on a 4-track recorder for years, and it was great to be able to dig into that and bring it to life with modern technology.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to work on. It makes me think about what I really enjoy about working with clients. I think one of the things I love is the element of surprise and delight. I'll come up with something that I might feel is like risky. I'm not sure if they're going to like this, but I'm going to try it. And then I show it to the client and they're completely blown away and they love it. I think that for me is the joy of this work, is collaborating with someone, getting their input, their ideas, and bringing that to life in a way that goes above and beyond their expectations. And that's my goal, is to make somebody overjoyed with what they're hearing, go beyond what they initially thought about or conceived. And I think that's one of the reasons I would say to clients why you should work with me, is because that is something I bring to the table every single time. I'm always endeavoring to create something that they really love. I enjoy the process of collaborating and being creative. That's something I absolutely love doing. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the client's like, nah, it's not really what I was going for. It's not really what I wanted. And that's okay. That's part of the process. That's not why I'm here. I'm not here for my ego. I'm not here to feel good about myself. I'm here for the client. I'm here to serve the client. And that's what I love about it, is meeting really cool people who have a great song. And to your point, Rich, taking it from a very simple sort of song structure, chord progression, that sort of thing, and growing that into something huge and massive that they really love. That for me is what I love about it. How about you, Barak?
For me, I feel lucky to hear that song first time after like maybe 2 or 3 other people. So that's something exciting for me. When I get to work on those songs, I bring some sort of creativity and in a way I shape it. For me, that is exciting.
Excellent. This was great. It was great hanging out with you guys. It's great to unveil RJB Music Production to the world. Check us out at rjbmusicproduction.com. Today, we talked about RJB Music Production and what clients will get out of the process. And then we went into a little bit of detail about what each of us brings to the table and what we enjoy about the process. But definitely check us out on rjbmusicproduction.com. We'll leave that in the show description. I want to thank Justin and Burak, especially Burak, a brand new guest on the podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Hopefully you'll come back and we'll be able to talk to you in other capacities about sound and mixing.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, everyone, for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll be back with another one soon. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Face Your Ears podcast. If you found this episode entertaining and informative, be sure to share and leave a review. Also, check us out on social media and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For more information related to our podcast, head on over to www.faceyourears.com. Links can be found in the show description. And remember, whether you're a musician just starting out or a seasoned professional looking to talk shop, it's time to face your ears.